to hell, which is a scary, horrible place where you're going to burn on fire for eternity.
To all you people out there that think science is evil, well, you better think again, because someday you're going to need that. Welcome back to Reason is Reality.
I'm Jay.
I'm Steve. And today we're going to talk a little bit about Christianity infiltrating its way into our government and our politicians. As everybody knows, we are in an election year, and you can really see the push of the far right-wing religious evangelicals and whatnot trying to get their candidates in the Oval Office so that they can push their Christian agenda into our wonderful system of democracy here and cause pretty much complete mayhem and the ruin of the separation of church and state. So, if you ever noticed, a lot of the right-wing candidates specifically go and have town hall meetings with all these evangelical Christians, which are some of the most extreme of all the Christians, and their agenda is to get things passed that are in accordance with their Bible. The rules and beliefs and the tenets of their religion forced into our laws, and also forcing people who are not Christian to have to obey these laws. Well, that makes no sense. I mean, you know, they have the whole thing against Planned Parenthood. They have the thing against using contraception.
Mm-hmm.
Well, or, you know, they don't look kindly upon divorce.
No.
Well, you know, first off, what if there were laws passed that made you, every time that you had any sexual relations with anybody, to not be allowed to wear a condom, not be allowed to do anything to prevent pregnancy, or, you know, anything within that realm of protecting yourself from transmitted diseases.
Right.
Oh, you know, that's evil. The idea of condoms, blah, blah, blah. You're wasting your seed. And that's a sin. I'm sorry, but if I don't believe any of that, I'm not going to let you pass a law that's going to make me have to adhere to your beliefs and your agenda. It's ridiculous. I would fight every way I could to go against that.
Yeah, I definitely agree on
that. You know, there's things like that, and there's things like them wanting to put prayer back in school and get rid of certain subject matter that would cause people to doubt their faith.
There's a state that's already going through their legislation right now to get prayer back in school.
Yeah. Well, there's also a deal where in Texas they want to get rid of every single critical thinking course because they don't want people to
think for themselves.
They want them to follow what they're taught and told out of the Bible and by their preachers and by their parents and all this, that, and the other. But quite honestly, that's a big freaking bunch of bullpucky. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I think what it is they're starting to get scared that more and more people don't believe, and you have a lot of the new age or millennials, if you will, that are coming up that don't have any religious beliefs whatsoever or anything.
Well, check this out, for instance. Texas GOP declares no more teaching of critical thinking skills in Texas public schools. And it says here, the Republican Party of Texas have issued their political platform and have come out and blatantly opposed critical thinking in public schools. It says, throughout the whole state. If you wonder what took them so long to actually state that publicly that it's the reality of the matter of timing, it says, with immorality now immorality now the norm, an election hovering over the horizon. It says the timing of the Republican GOP announced against critical thinking instructions couldn't be better. It says it helps to gin up their anti-intellectual base. The Texas GOP's declarative position against critical thinking in public schools, or any schools for that matter, is now the official part of their political agenda and platform. It says it is public record in the Republican Party of Texas platform. It says, with regard to critical thinking, the Republican Party of Texas document states, knowledge-based education we oppose the teaching of. It says higher order thinking skills, as opposed to value clarification. It says critical thinking skills and similar programs that are simply a relabeling of outcome-based education. It says that mastery learning, which focus on behavior modification and have the purpose of challenging the student's fixed beliefs and understanding parental authority. So they're saying that if you teach critical thinking to kids, that it may cause them to question their beliefs, and it may cause them not to obey their parental authority or their parents. It says, yes, challenging beliefs or claims is considered insubordinate, immoral, and could lead to rebellion. So they think that critical thinking skills taught to people in school may cause them to rebel against their parents, rebel against their church, and become immoral. You know, that's just ridiculous. It says disobedience, or perhaps worse, maybe revolution. The Republican Party and their followers say that critical thinking is subversive. Imagination is a sin, and the Republican Party in Texas and elsewhere is working to clarify this into public policy. The plutocrats can't have a working class citizenry that is asking questions of those in power. So they just want you to believe what they want you to believe. They don't want you to question it, obviously.
And they said that having an imagination is a sin.
Yeah.
Their imaginary friend is a sin then.
Yeah. So it says here, though, that critical thinking causing people to question those in power, be they parents, bosses, or whatnot. Instead, the people must be taught the ideology of what is morally acceptable. It says, with rules and regulations to follow. And even more importantly, how to accept and internalize the hierarchical autocratism. So basically, they're saying that they should be taught Christian ideology and follow morals, And it says that there should be rules and regulations to follow, which means that if you don't do this religious thing that they want you to do, that they will put you in jail.
No, that's I I don't even know how to retort to that because it's just kind of really pissing me off at this moment. The whole thing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it should not be allowed, period. That is the most ridiculous thing that I've heard.
Yeah. And it says that critical thinking goes against obedience training, making people obey or teaching them to obey and accept what they're handed, So it says here that reactionaries have long known that enshrining ignorance and hierarchy in both thought and practice within the school curriculum is essential for the control of young minds. It is to be accomplished softly and quietly, yet profoundly through propaganda, perception, and management. In the quarters of obedience training, education has nothing to do with it, and has nothing to do with schooling under capitalism. This is just ridiculous. It's all ridiculous. It tells all about it. How they don't want kids to learn critical thinking and be able to make up their own minds. They want to put Christian morals as a base for everything they teach in school, so it doesn't cause people to rebel or go against their parents or their preachers or whatever they were force-fed or taught, and think for themselves. They want it to be to where they teach morals in school, which cannot be due to separation of church and state, to bring prayer and religion into school, to make it so kids don't question where we came from or question things because science shows them a different answer. They don't want them to question anything.
So they want these kids to just stay dumbed down.
Yeah, pretty much.
And also, what if a child that goes to one of these schools that they do this to, that doesn't have any religious belief?
Yeah.
Are they then going to just be like, well, we have to throw you in jail, or, whatever they might have to do? Whatever the rules and regulations are supposed to be.
According to the GOP, alternative beliefs such as creationism are now cleverly mixed into the curriculum as so-called science or theories to debunk purportedly false notions of the theory of evolution or any other sciences. It says, but critical thinking is not evolution. But if critical thinking is not to be used in a classroom, how would these beliefs be examined for evidence? Exactly. Science, the scientific method, critical thinking, and the process of subjecting claims to evidentiary experimentation. All related activities pose a threat to self-proclaimed power and harbingers of supernaturalism, Yeah.
The only way they should be allowed to do that is if it's a religious private school.
Yeah.
Because they already do that anyways.
Yes, it literally says here that they believe that critical thinking will cause children, young adults, and whatnot to question or second guess what they've been taught, to rebel against their parents, to rebel against their government, because they're using their own thoughts, their own critical thinking, looking over things and looking at evidence to show them what it's about. They don't want any of that to be taught in their schools anymore. They would rather have a new way of teaching morals and religious crap, but making it look like it's a science.
Right. So they're trying to hide it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I consider myself an atheist.
Yeah.
And I don't rebel against my parents. I don't rebel against the government. You know, I'm not out there causing trouble or mischief, you know.
Yeah.
I go to work and pay my taxes just like anybody else.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this whole article is just ridiculous. All talking about how science causes people to question things and therefore turn on their religion and all this, that, and the other. Well, there's supposed to be no religion in schools anyway, period.
Right.
I mean, unless it's a private religious school, then they're allowed. But as far as public schools, government-funded schools, anything like that, you cannot do that.
No, because look how hard Madeline O'Hara fought to get prayer out of school.
Right. So they're not even talking about putting prayer back into school. They're just talking about taking away all the science that disproves their religion and replacing it with something else like creationism. You know, so no. All you have to do is take a look at that creationist museum. It's ridiculous. It's just
it's
stupid.
It is. So you mean to tell me that not only do they want to keep children dumbed down and not being able to think for themselves, but then they want to confuse them on top of that?
Sure.
And then not be able to question them being confused?
Right.
Because they're going to have questions.
Right.
And then them teachers that only know the curriculum are going to, I don't know.
Well, according to the GOP then, though, science and physics and all the scientific and technical things that we have out there to teach and learn are making children walk away from their religion, question their parents, question their beliefs, maybe rebel a little bit, maybe turn a little bit left-wing.
Right.
And they hate that. So they're going to try to get into the schools teaching curriculum and change it to where no subject that would make people question their faith or rebel against the government or their parents or whatever, they don't want any of that in there. And they're thinking, oh, well, science has made people doubt, and it's making people turn to the other side. Well, we got to stop this by not teaching them anything like that, making that illegal in our schools.
Don't question anything. Don't learn how anything works. Don't learn anything. Just be stupid and dumbed down and just be like, oh, okay, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Yeah.
No.
See, and that's the kind of things that...
And right now is the most crucial time, especially in children.
Yeah.
And right now we've gone with all our technology and everything that's been booming. Look at the last decade.
Yeah.
With our tablets, our cell phones, and we carry little computers in our pockets that are very powerful.
Yeah.
More powerful than the first computer that was made.
Yeah.
Which was pretty much a calculator, but...
Well, the first computer ever made was like the size of a barn.
Yeah, I'm saying
it was
huge.
Gigantic, just to barely calculate anything.
Right.
And now we have teeny tiny ones that can do almost everything.
Yeah, and you're running like a little phone that you can stick in your pocket that's like 64 gigs of memory. That's ridiculous.
Right.
Or even look at little things like, our external hard drives. Now they're so small you can fit them in your back pocket.
Right.
And carry it with you. And you're taking not just 500 gigs, but terabytes worth of information just carrying around like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you could have a whole library in your pocket. You know what I mean?
Right. And we're supposed to be moving forward.
Right.
not backwards.
Right.
You cannot change. We're trying to learn more, not less.
Yeah. Yeah, well, a lot of the Christian right back in the day, like around the time of Nikola Tesla working on a light bulb, and the same with,
Edison.
Thomas Edison. Back then, the religious would tell people that, lightning and electricity is not ours to mess with. That belongs to God. And we can't control electricity. Baloney. This is all electric around us, and we're controlling it.
Right.
But they said, no, you can't do that. Electricity and stuff belongs to God. That's, lightning and blah, blah,
We're
blah.
driving them now. We're driving electric cars.
Right. So back then
we're getting away from the fossil fuel industries.
Back then, trying to work with electricity was a sin, because you're messing with God's elements, they said. And nowadays, everything around us is electric.
Right.
So what
Unless you're Amish.
what happened to the sin with that? And you don't hear the Christians bitching about it. Why? Because they have electric lighting in their house. They have electric stove. They have air conditioning.
Right.
Oh, so as long as it benefits you, it's okay. But back when you thought it was against God and it was evil, you were willing to freaking lynch people over it.
Right.
You were willing to kill people over it.
The only people that actually do it right are the Amish. They're like, we don't believe in it. We're not going to do it.
Well,
and they don't.
Even the Amish in their barns where they milk their cows and all that, because that's for business, they're allowed to have electric, but they can't have it in their house.
Oh yeah. I think we talked about that before. Where
Yeah, they'll use it for their businesses, but they won't use it in their home. So that's kind of odd.
Yeah.
It's weirdness. But, I couldn't even imagine. Well, like I say, back when I was in 9th grade, man, 10th grade, 9th or 10th grade, our English teacher, Mrs. Schlafly, she made us try to sing Jesus Loves Me in the classroom. And, I wouldn't sing it. And one other kid in the classroom wouldn't sing it because he was Jewish. And she made us both go to the principal's office. And at that time, had I known that, there was already a separation of church and state and no prayer in the schools because of Madeleine O'Hare and all that, I would have sued the shit out of them. I would have so sued the shit out of them for doing that, for allowing her to do that, and making me go to the office because I refused to.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm not Christian.
Right.
So why are you forcing me to sing a Christian song?
Right.
That right there in itself is indoctrination, as we talked about on the last episode.
Right.
But
and also, how would she know that, or not just you and the other little boy that was Jewish?
Yeah.
How did she know that a lot of them other kids probably didn't know anything about religion?
Yeah, well, it was a redneck school, so most of them were Christian.
Oh, okay.
Most of them all knew the song, and they were singing it all bright and cheery. And it was just me and the other kid that weren't singing anything.
Right.
One, I wasn't Christian. Two, neither was he. He was Jewish.
Right.
So, you're going to make a Jew try to sing Jesus Loves Me, This I Know?
Right.
No. that's just like an insult in the face to them.
Yeah, exactly.
So, she was, oh man, I would have sued them so bad she'd have never had a job again, first off.
No.
She would have been done. Her career would have been done. It's just ridiculous. And now it's hard to believe nowadays that they're still trying to interfere with the separation of church and state.
Right.
They're still trying to take things out of schools.
But now they're trying to not just put it in there, in front of your face. They're trying to do it.
Yeah, sneakily.
Yeah.
And, there's got to be something to stop that. The idea of separation of church and state, that goes along with not only freaking the Constitution, but and the Bill of Rights,
Right.
but also our Declaration of Independence, because we were not supposed to be based upon any religion. Our government is completely separate from that, so that it doesn't matter what religion you are or what sex you are or whatever, that everybody has the equal opportunity and chance to do whatever it is you want to do and make your life better.
Right.
And that includes voting. Like, a Christian's vote does not count more than a non-Christian's vote.
Right.
We're equal.
Yeah.
So they keep trying to squeeze this stuff in there, that's based on their beliefs. We're going to make laws based on what we believe and kind of force everybody to obey those laws so that slowly we can turn them into brainwashed zombie Christians. No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, especially when every year more and more people in the United States are claiming to be non-religious, non-believers, or just slightly spiritual, whatever.
There's a couple contacts that I wouldn't mind seeing if I can't look up and contact them about that issue right there.
Yeah.
And kind of fight that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I would be willing to do that.
Right.
Because that kind of makes me really sick to my stomach.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't even believe that the Texas GOP is literally taking some sciences and stuff out of school curriculum to put in a different kind of school curriculum that is pushing morals and faith, but without making it look that way.
Right, and then on top of that, saying you can't question this is just how it is.
Yeah, that's and you cannot question your parents, and you can't question your faith, and
you can't question authority about it, and you can't do nothing. You're just like, okay, I'm sorry, yes, okay, I'll do this.
Yeah, right. So there's no way. They can't do that. They can't force that on all these people in the United States.
Here's what's going to happen. If they allow that to pass, and that does happen, then where does that stop?
Actually, if they got it to pass, it wouldn't stop. They just keep rolling with it.
Yep, and it's not going to be just in Texas. It's going to start moving.
Yeah, to all the other GOP states.
Right.
Yeah, so for anyone out there who is not a Christian, regardless of whatever religion you are, but if you are not a Christian, you should not be voting for any of these people who their agenda is to take Christian beliefs, morals, and tenets and push them into our laws, because that means that you will be controlled by them, that they will have, that hand of judgment over you and be allowed to do it. Anywhere you live in this country, if there is anything like that going on, like the Texas GOP has going on, you make sure you do not allow it to happen. Otherwise, you become a slave to them, and you will be forced to follow their rules, their beliefs, and
we no longer have a freedom of religion anymore.
Yeah, we'd no longer have freedom of anything.
No.
Because that would be the start of the decay of our freedom altogether.
Right. And you know what? If that does happen, then the separation of church and state goes out the window. You start taxing the churches.
Well, yeah, that too, but even at that, then the churches would have control. I wouldn't even want to live here. I would want to go somewhere else where you're free and equal.
Right.
To believe and do and have whatever you want. As long as you're not hurting anyone else.
Right.
It's ridiculous. And
I'm just stating that that would be one thing, though.
So now, but you get people like Ted Cruz and a lot of the other GOP members and candidates that speak of their religion at all these town hall meetings and everything. Mm-hmm. They talk about how God's important to them and blah blah blah, this, that, and the other, and
that's it. That's all they talk about.
And when you're going out there and your whole campaign is based in part on your faith or your religion, that is a sheer abrupt kind of push against the separation of church and state. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, obviously they know they're doing this.
Right. I mean, they can't be completely stupid about it.
Right. So they push this out there, figuring that they're going to get the votes of all these Christians. Well, even if they got the votes of all the Christians, like I say, Christians are less than 50% of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're 46% of the United States.
Yeah.
And then of course the other 64% are not even believers,
Or other religions.
or other religions, and none of the staple religions, like
Right.
other religions,
Like the new age and
right,
stuff like that.
yeah. So still, I mean, if it came down to a count of votes, I am sure more people would vote to keep religion out of the government and whatnot than the Christians, even if they all voted. Because if all the Christians voted with the opposition of all of the other types of people in religions, they will lose.
Yeah.
They won't be able to push that through.
That's why it starts out small, state by state.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they're going to do it.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, everybody. So hopefully you got some good thinking out of that last episode. Look into it. See what's going on. See how they're trying to put things into our laws that you may not want there. Always remember, use logic and reason. Make your own decisions. That's all for today.
I'm Jay.
I'm Steve.
We'll see you next time.
Yep.